Welcome to part two. We're joined by Adam in California. Loma and Cambosa, what did you reckon, Adam? You there, mate? Where's Adam? It's a good job we're not live, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry, there was a pop up there, wouldn't let me unmute. Loma, the king is back. Well, not that he ever really went away. I mean, my initial prediction, we talked about it first when it got announced. I thought Loma would stop him, even though he's a much smaller guy. I didn't see anything in fight week that or in the build up that made me kind of think any other ways. Uh, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was predictable. I thought Loma looked amazing, but I think he always, he mostly always looks amazing, bar the Teofimo Lopez fight, the first half of it. George Kambosos is just, and I'm not kicking a fellow when he's down, but George Kambosos is, he's not near elite level or world level. And I mean, it's one thing fighting for a belt against somebody your own level, but I mean, he's fighting the first ballot Hall of Famer and Vasily Lomachenko. He just looked completely outmatched from the first bell. There was a couple of really good stats on the coverage I was watching on ESPN. They were saying Lomachenko, he he throws, or sorry, he lands 16.8 punches for every one punch landed on him. He's fourth out of like I think it's like now out of belt holders. So anybody holds a world title, he's fourth for the best ratio of punches landed versus punches taken. And there were 2 rounds in that Kambosos fight where he outlanded Kambosos 21 punches to one and then 22 punches to one in the other round. So that number would have went up is what I'm getting at from the Kambosos fight. So he's probably 17 punches now landed for every one he takes. The man, he's an absolute dream to watch. Um, like we talked about, I think for you to be considered like the greatest of all time or be in the discussion, I think there's a lot of luck involved. Obviously, look, you have to be absolutely amazing at boxing, but you have to avoid injuries. You need good dance partners and whatnot. I mean, Lomachenko shouldn't really be fighting at 135. When you look at the size of him in there beside Kambosos, he's a much, much, much smaller man. Um, but he's there and he's winning belts still. I mean, I'll be honest. I know the records say what they say. In my mind, Lomachenko is 19-1. He's not 17-3. And I know that's not real, but I had him beating Salida. That would have made him world champion in his second fight. I thought he got mugged on the scorecards there. Very similar to the Haney fight. I had a probably 8-4 Loma. He lost a split decision. And the fella lost. The fella came in, I think, 4 pounds overweight. So the fella couldn't win the title. He lost it on the scales. Only Loma could win it. And he still got mugged. I thought he got mugged against Haney. So that would have made him undisputed in 3 divisions. But look, he lost to Lopez. He did lose. I think he lost fair and square. He didn't start until the second half of the fight. But again, I'm not gonna. He lost. But I have him at 19-1 instead of 17-3. And I think he's definitely on the right Mount Rushmore of this generation of fighters. Special, special, special guy. I would love, and I'm going somewhere with what I'm saying about he shouldn't be fighting at 135. I think Tank similar. I think Tank fights at 135 for different reasons. Loma moved up because he couldn't get fights anymore, at 126 and 130 and so on. I think Tank is fighting at 135 because he doesn't take good enough care of himself like he should. But I would love to see Lomachenko Tank get it on. Uh, After Tank beats Frank Martin. If he beats him, I think he does. I think he beats him. I think he almost beat him at the press conference, mentally alone. So I see him coming through that Martin fight quite easily. And I think that's an absolute super fight. What do you think, man, of the matchup?
Oh, it's a good one, isn't it? That Tank and Loma, isn't it?
Top 5 fights to make in boxing, mate. Like I just think it's
Tank and Loma, Fury Usyk. They're two top fights, aren't they?
top fights. Absolutely. But Bivol, but Beterbiev, I know obviously it's
Gilbert
off now.
Serbia.
Yeah, that was another big one. Yeah, I mean, obviously we can go through the list. There's loads of good fights to make, but I think like when you talk about when you talk about two elite level competitors, um, people can say what they want about Tank outside of the ring. I've kind of had my opinions on him too. He's a bit of a wild man, but he's an absolute operator. I mean, I think he hasn't done himself any favors in his career as of yet. I think he's kind of left some money on the table. I don't think he takes his career seriously. And look, he's a grown man. It's his own choice. He can handle himself. He's made a boatload of money, and he's won multiple world titles. He can make the rules as he goes. But I don't think he's committed himself so far the way that he should have, and I don't think he's cared enough about legacy and chasing the toughest fights. I mean, you look at that Ryan Garcia fight. You can say what you want, but he did boil Garcia down. Similar to what Canelo did to Amir Khan and other fighters when he invented that division back in the day. To me, Tank kind of steers towards caution. And because of that, I think he would probably try and wait Loma out for at least another year, you know, before getting in there with him. I probably, and again, Loma's my favorite boxer of all time. But I probably have Tank winning it. I think it's very close. Probably have Tank 55-45. He's younger, he's fresher, he punches like a truck. I would love to see the fight. I would be a wee bit concerned the Tank would have the better of it. And if he waits him out, another year, 18 months, I would probably favor Tank way more, probably go 60-40, 65-35. But I would love to see the fight. You know what I mean? I think it would fill up Loma's retirement. He doesn't strike me as a man that's why sore on money anyway, but it would probably set him up for his retirement if he did lose. And it's definitely a fight he could win as well. So I would absolutely love to see it, mate.
That's a class fight, isn't it, though, Loma and Tank?
Class. Absolutely class. It's the older guard versus the younger guard. I know Tank's not super young, but you know what I mean. Like it's probably a passing of the torch moment. Two absolute technicians, two very different characters. I think the build up would be fun. I think Tank would probably try and rattle Loma like Tyson Fury did to Usyk. I think Loma would probably be cool, calm, and collected like he is. Yeah, man, I just think it would be fun start to finish. Be absolutely brilliant to see.
Yeah, it was. It was. Uh, Ryan Garcia, Conor Ben.
Uh, the two boys fighting it out, you reckon, or that's what you're
Well,
getting at?
Ryan Garcia, what do you reckon to it? The story around him that he's been stitched up by Eddie Hills.
Right. So I'll here's my thoughts on that whole situation, right? And I'll come straight out at the start. I don't think Ryan Garcia has been stitched up by Eddie Hills, right? But I do not think that Ryan Garcia knowingly took what was in his system. Now, am I saying he should avoid a ban? Absolutely not. Believe in strict liability. I believe even if he can prove it was in his system, he still deserves a 2-year ban. Because it's his fault, it's his team's fault. Like even if his story is true, like even that supplement he was taking that you can buy in Walgreens, this guy's like an elite level athlete and a model and stuff. Like that stuff he showed in the video, you can buy that literally a door up from me here. Like it's just in a normal generic pharmacy. Like why is he? But why? Who in his team is letting like these kind of supplements in? Look, either way, the reason I'm saying this is right for he got cleared of one thing. Was it he got cleared of the nandrolone, right? Like the only thing they're holding on to now is Ostarine that was in his system. If you look at all of his tests up until fight week, there's no trace levels of Ostarine in there. There's no reference range. There's nothing, right? So it's not in there. Then we get to fight week, and we get to fight day, and we get to his tests around the fight. They found like trace elements of that in his system. Now, if you're clear the whole way up to fight week, and then all of a sudden you have trace amounts in your system, that trace amount wouldn't have given you any competitive edge whatsoever. So I'm not saying there's this big conspiracy with Victor Conte and Eddie Hearn and this and that. I think he's a loose cannon. I think he took something that should have never been taken at all. Over the counter fucking supplements that you can buy at Walgreens. I think he screwed up. I think his team screwed up. But I don't think that he knowingly cheated. That's my opinion. I still think he deserves a ban, but I don't think he knowingly took steroids. So that's where I sit on it, mate. I think it's a complete. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
You think Crusher cheated?
Absolutely, yes. 100%. I think if you look at the circumstances of both cases, they're completely different, man. Where again, we talked about the why and the when. If you look at what was found in Conor Benn's system and when it was found, it fits the story of finishing a cycle of anabolic steroids or PEDs and using the clomiphene to restart his basically restart his engines, for want of a better phrase, in his body. So that story makes sense. Like if you were going to cheat and you were going to use these things, the Conor Benn timeline and story makes sense of a cheater. The Ryan Garcia timeline makes zero sense. Do you know what I mean, mate? Like it just doesn't. Like what he took doesn't make sense. When he took it wouldn't make sense. The reference ranges don't make sense. Like none of it makes sense. Like I think him coming in that much overweight is unfair. I think I know you don't want to leave the money on the table, but I think if the Haney's had any sense, they probably would have pulled the fight. Again, I think the Haney's took the fight because they thought they'd stand Ryan on his head. I think if they were really worried about who they were fighting, they wouldn't have fought almost 4 pounds overweight. But they did. It was their choice. They got their 1.5 million. But again, I don't think Ryan Garcia knowingly cheated. Do I think he should be banned for 2 years because of strict liability? 1000% he should be banned. But I don't think he cheated on purpose. I think Conor Benn did. And that's the difference between the two fellas, in my opinion.
Do you think that they'll ban Garcia?
Probably. But yeah, I figured we would get onto this stuff eventually. Like, but you know, we talked about this 2 weeks, what would transpire with Eddie Hearn and these lickers and these minions kind of coming out and saying this and that about Ryan Garcia. Adi Oladipo, Tony Bellew, and Greasy Gad, last but not least, they should all hang their heads in shame. Like it's just like Adi Oladipo went on Talk Sports last week. And he was saying that he'll never, quote unquote, he'll never look at Ryan Garcia the same way again because of what's been found in his system. Now, this is the same Adi Oladipo that does comment, that, you know, does punditry, or that he's the host for DAZN. And all things considered, I don't think he does a terrible job. I don't think he's amazing. I don't think he's terrible. But this is the same Adi Oladipo that was standing shoulder to shoulder with Conor Benn doing host work and punditry. No, he'll never look at Ryan Garcia the same again. But he'll, you know, Conor Benn deserves a second chance. Conor Benn deserves this. He deserves. Ryan Garcia hasn't got a chance to clear his name yet. Where's the same energy? You know, Eddie Hearn said he believes in strict liability, but he also believes that, you know, a young man should have the chance to clear his name. Tony Bellew says that Ryan Garcia should be banned for life. Right? And that's a direct quote. Ryan Garcia should be banned for life. This is a steroid that was found in his system. Why isn't Ryan Garcia being given the time to clear his name? Why is he not held to the same standard? There's already a witch hunt. Garcia should be banned for life. He should be out of the sport. I'll never look at them the same again. Even though the reference range of what's been found in his system make absolutely no sense as to somebody that was cheating. If anything, Ryan Garcia deserves a chance to clear his name. And look, Conor Benn deserved it as well. But when you look at them side by side, mate, and what was found and when it was found and how much was found, the two situations are night and day. Garcia should be provided the chance. And I'm not saying Conor Benn shouldn't, but like the Conor Benn evidence, man, was just staunch as soon as it came out. And it's gotten no better. and the documents disappeared and this and that. I just can't. And I knew there would be hypocrisy with the British media. I just didn't think it would be anywhere near as bad as it has been so far. It's an absolute joke, and specifically Tony Bellew and Adi Oladipo, just the biggest hypocrites on planet Earth. It's an absolute joke. So
Well, they've become lickers, haven't they now?
yeah, but it's just they have, man, like, and it wasn't like a surprise, but you just can't come out and say you love the sport and you care for the sport and you want things to get better, and then just treat, your promoter's fighter completely different. Like, I know they're lickers, man, but it's just, at what point, where's your self-pride and your self-awareness? Do you know what I mean? Like, unless you're a clown and unless you've got like the worst memory ever, you know what you said when you said it about big things in boxing. People are going to pull up the receipts like we're doing now and we're talking about. Like, do they just not care about being hypocrites? Are their jobs on the line? Like, is somebody holding a proverbial gun to their back saying, if you don't say this, then you know what I mean? We can get somebody else. I don't know, but it's just you can't say in one sentence you care about boxing and then in the next sentence come out with what they're coming out with. It's just disgraceful, man, and it's just yeah, I think both fellows now are they're just bona fide jokes, and just yeah, zero respect for either fella when it comes to anything they say about boxing.
What about
Absolutely.
Eddie Hill's role and all that with Crusher Ben, man? What a mess it was, wasn't it, from top to bottom?
Oh, rotten. And I think this will be the example or the case study moving forward about how to not cover, or sorry, how to not deal with with a situation like this ever again. They've tried to use cute language. They've tried to use jurisdiction. They've had Conor Benn fight in America, and then they've had that idiot Helwani come on and say, "Oh my God, it's so sad that the British Board of Control won't let you fight in your fight." Eddie Hearn's tried everything, and thank God none of it stuck. And I'd argue at this point, Hills looks like a bigger fool almost than Ben does. But things are going to continue. The wheels are going to keep moving for Eddie. Whereas I don't think they're going to keep moving for Ben. I don't know where Ben goes from here. I mean, they're saying now it's going to be a 4-year ban, right? And he's already done 2, so that's another 2 years out. It looks like his powers magically disappeared. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know if we see Ben. I don't know if he retires early, man. Maybe I don't know. I think he's ruined regardless, man. I think this has just dragged on so long. I think nobody cares anymore, and that's kind of the worst spot you could be in. It's probably better to be hated or loved than nobody care. You know what I mean? If you're kind of in the middle and nobody gives a crap, then you're stuck. And I think that's kind of where Conor Benn is in this now. So I don't know where he goes, mate. I think he's in no man's land, and I don't think Eddie Hearn's going to throw him a lifeboat anymore. So I think Ben's badly stuck. You
Yeah.
know, absolutely. And look, if you've cheated, I know it's still all allegedly and this and that, and he's still fighting his case. But if you've cheated in the alleged way as which he did, then screw you. Yeah, I don't care. Like, you don't deserve sympathy. Like, if you're a bona fide cheater like Jarrell Miller, something like that, then I don't care, mate. You don't deserve the box. You don't deserve respect. You don't deserve dignity. You don't deserve anything. Because, you look at what happened with Lawal there, obviously massive tragedy and obviously massive condolences to his family, his friends, his camp, everybody. You look at like Willie Lamond there not so long ago. You look at Pritchard Cologne, you look at Nick Blackwell. These things continue to happen, and they're going to continue to happen. Brain injuries are going to happen in boxing, and that's just a fact. And when you're going in there with loaded gloves, you're just a disgrace, and you're a cheat, and you're disgusting. And I just have no time for you. So I, to me, the Ben evidence is like OJ. It's just there. It's undeniable. Um, So if he has, if the alleged cheating, if he has cheated, then let him burn, man. I don't care. Get him out of the sport. You know, I think the Garcia situation is different because I don't think he's knowingly cheated. He still should get banned, but I don't think he's knowingly cheated, and that's where I sit on it. So
Too
screw Ben.
thick.
Sorry, mate. Go ahead.
It's too thick in it to do it.
Yeah, there's that, and just multiple things. I mean, here's another thing, right? Like Ryan Garcia pulled the mental health card before, right? And I shouldn't even say that because when people say you pulled the mental health card, it usually means that you pulled it to blag your way out of a situation. Ryan Garcia didn't blag his way out of anything. He had the biggest win of his career versus Luke Campbell. He got off the canvas. He won the fight. You know, it was massive over here in America during the pandemic. He was on ESPN the whole lot. So that was a springboard for him. And he was getting it difficult with his mental health genuinely to the point where he pulled out and he pulled himself out of boxing for almost 2 years. Now, if you were a leech around him, if you were one of his promoters or if you were De La Hoya, if you were somebody trying to make money off him, you would have been disgusted that he took that time away because you'd say, strike when the iron's hot, let's get a world title fight, all the rest. But Ryan Garcia chose himself to put himself out of the sport. He cost himself millions of dollars. He cost himself sponsorships. Teofimo Lopez was calling him mentally weak, and it didn't do himself any favors. Now, let's go back to that time, right? If you were a cheater and you were Ryan Garcia and you were having problems with your mental health, I think if you were a drugs cheat, you would start taking steroids. You would pull a big Bobby Miller. You wouldn't pull yourself out of the sport for 2 years. Do you know what I mean, mate? Like the stories don't add up. If he was a drugs cheat, he wouldn't have took the time off. He would have pumped himself full of steroids, and he would have just he would have made up for his mental problems with steroids and making himself stronger in the ring. Instead, he took 2 years away or 18 months away from the sport. Now, that behavior doesn't strike me as a guy that's taking steroids. And then, like you say, too, I mean, he seems to wear his heart in his sleeve. He doesn't seem massively bright. And I'm saying that in his defense. He doesn't seem like a criminal mastermind either. You know what I mean? So if you look at all his behavior through his career, man, it just doesn't strike me. He doesn't strike me as a drugs cheat for multiple reasons. So that's why I think he hasn't done it on purpose. But you see now Haney's lawyer, they're not even going for a no contest. So the WBC has already said Haney keeps his belt, and that was before the drug stuff. But now Haney's lawyer is saying it should be a win on Haney's record. It shouldn't even be a no contest. That's how desperate they are, man. I think the Haneys have come out of this looking very poorly, man. I wasn't a big fan of theirs. You know, like Haney said some stuff when he was younger about Lomachenko. He said he's never going to get beat by a white boy. That's whatever. You know what I mean? It's talk. But I don't think they were very, respectful after kind of getting the robbery against Loma. And now I think the way they've handled this situation, they haven't made themselves look great either. Devin Ori's dad. So now, mate, I don't know. I don't think anybody's won out of this situation. But Haney going for a win on his record, I don't think that's going to fly at all, and I don't think it's going to sit well with the hardcores. Like it's either a no contest or it's nothing. Do you know what I mean, mate? Like I don't think there should be any precedent for it being a win on Haley's record. Like he got absolutely pucked about the place. I don't think it was right that Garcia fought overweight, but it's not like Haney looked like a man. It's not like Haney looked tiny in the ring either. Do you know what I mean? Haney looked big and filled out as well. He's a big 135er. So no, mate. I don't know. I don't think the Haneys have come out looking great.
They're reaching with that, aren't they?
What's that?
I think they're reaching with that one, aren't they?
Reaching, man. Reaching. I don't think it's a good look at all. Take the no contest. Keep your belt. Kind of count yourself very lucky. If my theory's true and Garcia didn't take anything on purpose, then they've been throwing another life raft. It seems like Devin Haney almost has 9 lives. The judges got him out of dodge against Lomachenko. And now it seems like the boxing gods or the Garcia camp being a bunch of idiots have got him out of dodge with this one. because he got smashed a bit. You know what I mean? Whether Garcia was overweight or not, he got absolutely smashed a bit. And I didn't think we'd see that at all. So Haney's been a lucky guy um, against Loma, and I think he's been lucky now against Garcia. And I think they're just going way too far asking for a win. I think it's a disgrace, and I hope they don't get it. So
It don't mask over the damage done to him by Garcia, though, does it?
no, no, not at all. And that's why I think it's almost more desperate that they're looking for a win. I think it's just very, very, very desperate. You know what I mean? Like if we go back 2 or 3 months, people were saying, this is the next Floyd. No, I'm not you or me, but people are saying this is the next Floyd Mayweather. He's going to rule boxing for 20 years. All this crap. And now the same camp is looking to have this turned over as a win to keep their record perfect. Yeah, I don't know, mate. It's just the desperate stuff. Very, very desperate. And it seems like he's duck and tank like the plague as well. I'll send you the video of Tank mocking Bill Haney. I don't know if you've seen it. It's very, very funny. I'll send it to you after. You'll get a good giggle off it. So
Yeah, it's all right. Terry Harper against Rihanna Dixon in July. What do you think?
Yeah, like it's I'm kind of happy for Harper that she hasn't retired. Like I think if she wants to continue doing it, mate, fair play to her. I haven't seen too much of the Dixon, so I don't really know how they match up that well. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, um, but I'm hoping it's a better matchup for Harper than she's been kind of rolled out in the last couple of fights. What weight's are that, Paul?
I'm not sure. I think you'd have thought it'd be welterweight, wouldn't you, or something?
Yeah, you would hope and think so. I'll do more digging into it, man. But weight match up the whole lot. We'll talk about it more next time out. But yeah, look, if Harper wants to continue, then I'm happy for her. I thought she might have retired after the last fight, and not that I wanted, it's none of my business what she does. She's a grown woman. She just struck me as a fighter that had one foot out the door. So if she is still committed and this isn't about money or a contract or something else, if she really wants to continue, then fair play to her. Um, but yeah, I don't really have many thoughts. Like I said, I haven't looked into it much, mate. I don't know how the two women match up, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's what about Lauren Price then? Double world champion after 7 fights.
Yeah, good win for her, obviously, but there's no there's no proper receipts for her being a 2-weight world champion with 7 fights in. Like we talked about,
Yeah.
it's more kind of a bad look on how shallow the women's boxing pool is. But she went in, she won the fight. Um, it's good to have like a Welsh woman coming through for Wales, for her, for all the rest. But yeah, I don't think it's that big of an achievement so far. Just because, like, look, it's 7 fights. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be different if a guy like Lomachenko or Usyk did it after 7 fights. You know what I mean? Like in the men's game, and that's not me being sexist. I'm just saying. Then you would look at it kind of differently. You'd be like, holy moly, who are these two fellas coming in, winning world titles 7 fights in? But I think for the women's side of the game, I think it's more just because the fights and the fighters aren't there. But look, she's taking advantage of good circumstances, so fair play to her, and I hope she can build on it, and it doesn't turn out to be it doesn't do her more damage than good. You know what I mean? Long term.
What about Pierce Brosnan going to play Brendan Ingle in a film?
Good old Pierce, my favorite James Bond ever. Love me a bit of Goldeneye as a young fella. Some movie. Um, Yeah, I mean, I like Pierce Brosnan. Look, I don't think he's a Marlon Brando. I don't think he's like the best actor in the world, but he's not bad. And hopefully he can do Ingle some justice. Good for the movie. Yeah, not bad, mate. Like I said, I love Pierce Brosnan, even if I don't think he's a Marlon Brando. So be excited to see what he can do with it.
Billy Joe Saunders is saying that Netflix are interested in and Eubanks next. Would you buy into that?
Well, are they asking them to do like a hot dog eating competition or something,
Billy
or
Joe, 3 year out at ring, isn't he? And he's not going to date.
I don't. I mean, look, maybe they did contact. Look, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I would find it a wee bit hard to believe. Like if you look at what Netflix putting out, they did that. I don't know if it's happened yet, but they were doing like a tennis match with Nadal and Alcaraz, the young phenom. You know, they're doing Jake Paul versus Tyson. I think that fight shouldn't happen. I think it's an abomination. But it's still two big names in their respective fields. Uh, they did the roast of Tom Brady again, the greatest arguably the greatest football player of all, NFL player of all time. To me, Billy Joe doesn't fit into that stratosphere. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it just it
Yeah.
doesn't make that much sense to me. But I don't know, man. I don't think there's that many fights for him out there. Like in terms of like grudge matches, I think obviously Eubank Jr. is the only one that springs to mind. I don't think Billy Joe Saunders will ever win a world title again. So I think if he does fight, I think it'll be like like a Eubank fight, like a kind of legacy fight, something like that for his legacy, not for the legacy of boxing. So I'm not that interested in it, man. I don't know. I don't know if it will transpire.
You think the
Um,
public can buy into it?
I think the public will buy into him versus Eubank Jr. I think that's not going to say it's the only fight of his that would sell, but I think it's pretty close, mate. Yeah, I mean, who else does he fight like a British guy at 175? But then if he did like the likes of like I think like a Joshua Buatsi or like an Anthony Yard, I think they would pummel him. Like I think don't get me wrong, I think Billy Joe technically as a boxer is better than both of them. But I think going up a weight after being out of the ring for 3 years, and the two boys are kind of hot, and they've kept themselves busy. I would probably fancy either guy in against them. If you fight like a smaller British 175er, high risk, low reward, and he still could lose. So I think if he does fight, mate, I think the only fight for him is Chris Eubank Jr. and I think even for Eubank Jr., mate, I think that could actually happen at 175. I think he could move up, and I think he wouldn't mind moving up. To fight specifically Billy Joe Saunders. So I think, yeah, I've rambled on, but I think the only fight Billy Joe really can have that will sell is Chris Eubank Jr. And I don't think it's a bad fight for Chris Eubank Jr. either, given the fact that Billy Joe's been out of the ring for 3 odd years. So
You reckon?
that's it. Yeah, I mean, both lads would make money off it. I'm not going to say they're both forgotten figures, but like Chris Eubank Jr. has been talking for years about he wants to win belts, but actions speak louder than words. He's never made that big push. He could have had the Janabek fight. That's kind of common knowledge now. But Janabek's a tough guy. It didn't really surprise me that he didn't take that fight. So yeah, mate, I don't know. Like I think Billy Joe's in it for one or two fights max. I think Chris Eubank Jr. only wants big money. Unless he got a cherry-picked world title fight, but I don't think he wants to fight the likes of Janabek. I think he wants cherry-picked fights like a Conor Benn, like a Billy Joe Saunders. Or if he's not going to do that, he wants a massive, fighter will give a good payday, like a Terence Bud Crawford or a Canelo. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it, mate. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Yeah. What about Yard Boatsi? That's gone quiet, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of given the Ben Shalom hitters more gas to throw on the fire. I mean, I think now I read something on boxing scene. I think I don't know what the exact date is, but I think they have less than a month to try and figure it out before it goes to purse bids. So this is a WBA. I can't remember which belt it was, but whatever organization, they've already stepped in and basically said they've ordered the fight. So they're saying if the promoters can't make it happen within the next month, I think it's going to purse bids. And like everything else, it's like blame Ben Shalom for everything. The kind of the can's been kicked to him again, and people are saying it's his fault that it hasn't happened. But it has been ordered, I think, by the WBA. So let's see if it happens. It's a good fight though, man. Like, regardless of the politics and how it gets made, if it does get made, it's a good matchup, I think. I'd definitely be interested in watching it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Buatsi's the much better technician. But if Yard can get to him and kind of close the distance and do kind of a better job than Dan Aziz did of it, he could do some damage in close. But yeah, I mean, look, it'd be a decent domestic fight. It's not it's not Fury AJ, but yeah, I'd still be excited to watch it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? What do you think to cruiserweights in UK at the moment? So that's all a bit dead, isn't it?
I mean,
Rack Paul say I want to see him get stuck in.
yeah, it has kind of gone a bit quiet. I mean, obvious. When is that? That's in the summer, right? Selhurst Park, Ray Akpor, Billum Smith. That's a
Yeah.
done deal.
Yeah.
I mean, should be a good fight. Probably fancy Ray Akpor. I like CBS. I think it's a great story, good for the sport. Great, he's like technically he's no Pernell Whitaker, but he fights with heart, and he seems like a top lad as well. But I would probably fancy Ray Akpor to get it done. Especially it being in London. I can see why they did it. Obviously the Bournemouth Stadium, I think it's only got 8,000 capacity or something. But Chris Billum Smith's a champion, and he's kind of fighting on away soil, which is kind of mad. But maybe that can kind of reinvigorate things for the British cruiserweight scene. But no, like you said, mate, it's kind of quiet at the minute. Especially with a Coley kind of moving up to Bridgerweight. We only have a couple of minutes left, mate. I just wanted to run through top 5 pound for pound because of the fight this weekend, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I still have Bud Crawford at number 1. I know anyway, beat Neary. He got put down. You can take that 2 ways. People say because he got up off the deck. I still have Bud Crawford. Until we see the Madrimov fight, I'm going to keep Bud Crawford at 1, right? So I've got him at 1. I've got anyway at 2. Got Usyk at 3. What? If Usyk can beat Fury at the weekend, I'm going to put Usyk as number 1 if he can unify both divisions. So if Usyk wins at the weekend, Usyk is the new pound for pound number 1 in the world, in my opinion. I've got Beterbiev. I know it's kind of cheating. I've got Beterbiev and Bivol at 4. I had that before just because they were going to fight, and now obviously it's off. So I think if they fight, Beterbiev wins. But just because he's injured, I'll put Bivol at number 4. And then I've got Tank Davis at number 5. Like I said previously, I don't think he's put enough effort in so far in his career. I don't think he's cared about legacy. I think he's been more of a money fighter, albeit he's won multiple world titles. But I think if Tank Davis puts a foot down out of that list, him and Inoue can reign. I think as 1 and 2 for a long time, because they're obviously the rest of the guys are close to retirement. So yeah, again, Bud Crawford 1, Inoue 2, Usyk 3, but let's say Bivol is 4, and then Tank Davis number 5.
Brilliant. All right,
Yes,
then,
sir.
Adam. Well, listen, thanks for coming on, mate.
Top man, Russ. Always a pleasure. So we'll be talking over the weekend, and then we'll get on to
Mate.
discuss all the madness. Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Take care. Bye.
Talk soon.
All that were Adam. Women love him, men want to be him. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Booyaka.